I mean, flipping it. Well, Paulie, let's move on a subject that I know we kind of have similar opinions on, but I don't want to incriminate ourselves on this chat. Manny Pacquiao, yeah, who is 8 division world champion, yeah. Do you think, yeah, I know you've said it in the past, but do you think at the peak of his career, there was some foul play going on?
Yeah, I've always asserted that, and I I just think that here's the thing. I'll give it to you the best way I can. Okay, I started boxing. I remember the first day I started boxing in the gym. The reason I remember is because it was 2 days before the bite fight, and so the bite fight is Tyson versus Holyfield. It was June 28th, 1997.
Yeah,
28th. I remember the first day in the gym because I started boxing that week. My first day in the gym, where they come in the gym and they teach you how to jab properly and do all that other stuff properly. Like literally, my first lesson was June 26, 1997. So 2 days before the bite fight. So I never forgot the day I started boxing. By that point, Pacquiao was already almost on the verge of winning his first world title. He was a professional boxer, which means he had his amateur career and all this other stuff. He's a professional boxer. I think by the time I fought my first amateur fight, almost a year later, I think he was already a world champion the first time. So I started boxing. Manny Pacquiao was already a world champion. I started boxing. I fought my amateur career. I learned to box. I fought my entire amateur career. Learned, came up the ladder, turned professional, came up and down the ladder in the professional boxing world as well. Had a 16-year boxing career in the professional ranks, and then retired like a normal human being. I went through the whole process. I went through the entire process. Manny Pacquiao, when I started it, was a world champion. Manny Pacquiao, when I ended it, was a world champion. Manny Pacquiao today is a world champion. Are we living in fairy tales? Are we? Does this guy not age?
5 times.
Aging is human. Does this guy not age? Does he? I mean, I don't understand. Like, does he not age? So I actually was a young man, a teenager. I was maturing into my man body. I was still not even a man yet. I was a teenager. I matured. I grew into my man body. I grew up. I fought professionally. I eventually passed my prime, and I ended, and I was done. And this guy is still on a championship level. So what, does he not age? Because he was already older than me as it is. And not to mention, tough fights age you more, do they not?
Yeah. He was in some wars. He's been in some wars, Marquez.
Even if they weren't wars, he's had twice the amount of professional boxing matches I had. Yeah. Almost twice. He's got 2 times the amount of fights, which also ages you, which also, because he was never a defensive specialist. Listen, at the end of the day, it doesn't make or break me. I only answer these questions when I'm asked about it, because really, I do realize that the fans of boxing, the media in boxing, love this shit. They love guys being on steroids. They pretend to look the other way, actually. Now you got guys talking about, no weight classes at all. Like, you got guys, like, jumping constantly weight classes. So, for me, I don't need to really argue it because I'm not part of the sport anymore. I used to leave me bitter because I'm a guy who's not doing this stuff, and I'm noticing a lot of guys are doing this stuff, and it's very obvious, so I get kind of left behind. But once I'm not involved, hey man, if you guys want to all kill yourselves, go ahead.
What percentage of fighters today, Paulie, do you think? I mean, do you know what irritated me the other day? VADA announced, and UCAD both announced that, I don't know whether you saw this, Paulie. They announced that while this pandemic's going on, they announced that I've got no problem with them stopping the testing, but they announced it to the world that there was
that's like a free cycle of steroids, of course. Yeah.
Literally, here's the pin. Go and stick it in your arse cheek and crack on.
That's basically letting everybody know, hey, listen, go for it right now. You won't be caught. Listen, like I said, it used to make me bitter. I used to be passionate about the sport. Now I more so look at it like, listen, I always have a little bit of passion about it, but I look at it more like, hey, listen, I did what I did. You happy? You happy? If you're not happy, you're not happy. I'm not really looking for anyone's approval. I honestly just look at it like, at one time I was looking for approval. I was looking to be looked at as one of the best fighters, all this other stuff. Honestly, once I realized that you had to kind of do steroids to kind of get to certain levels, I realized, you know what? Forget about people's approval. Just make sure you get in this sport in one piece. You get out of it the same way you came in one piece, and with a little bit more money. And I've been fortunate enough to have achieved that. So I don't really. I kind of look at it like it was a good job. It was an interesting job I had,
Yeah.
But I don't look at it from a perspective of, oh man, I would dream to fight this guy. Like sometimes people ask me, like, who would you fight if you would love to fight anybody in history? I don't care. I don't have that. I don't have that like burning desire anymore. You know, I don't think about boxing like that anymore and mainly because they turned me off on it this way. You know, like they were talking about today. I got a message this morning earlier about Terrence Crawford and Jermell Charlo. They're arguing and they're gonna fight or something. Didn't the Terrence Crawford turn pro lightweight? Like, you know, again, the weight classes matter for nobody anymore. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, what am I arguing this point about? If you don't want to believe it, then don't believe it. And that's why I'm wasting my time arguing anyway. But of course, you brought it up, Sam, so I'm having the discussion with you. But this is why I don't
blame me. Anyone has this problem, blame me. Anyone start, blame me.
No, but this is why I don't discuss it on my own terms anymore. Because I used to want to change the sport, Sam. I used to think like, I got to bring this up. I have to change the sport. I have to save this thing. You know, it's turning into something terrible.
It's an important subject.
Nobody wants it. Nobody wants that. You know, so once, and I'm talking about media, I'm talking about fans. Then when guys die, they'll make like they care for a couple of days, and they'll go back to normal. You know, so in reality, you know, I'm done with the sport. So it's not a risk to me. You know what I mean? I'm done fighting, so it's not a risk to me. So if they're all want to do it and they're all gonna do it, then fine, go ahead and do it. As far as the percentage of guys doing it, I think a high percentage do it, and I also think probably guys that don't want to do it are doing it because they realize what they're up against. If they don't do it, then they get left behind. So I do think that it's gotten worse.